Hey, before we jump into today's episode, you often hear me talk about the four keys to redefine hustle on this show: define, direct, discipline, and develop. Do you ever wish you could be sitting beside me and I could walk you through those keys and applying them to your business? Well, guess what? Now you can. I've created the four keys 5-day audio devotional just for you. In this devotional, every day for 5 days, you'll get a short audio dropped right in your email to walk you through each of the keys and how to apply them immediately in your business. I know you're excited to get it, so go to erinharrigan.com slash four keys devotional or click the link in the show notes. Hey, my fellow high achieving sister in Christ. Ever wonder if it's possible to be ambitious and let God lead at the same time? Does the hustle fuel your adrenaline, but you want to ditch the overachievement and pursue success with clarity, serenity, and fulfillment? If your outward success doesn't match your inner unrest and unfulfillment, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman. I'm Erin Harrigan, a Christian wife, emptiness mom, entrepreneur, and recovering overachiever who felt those same things. When I prayed for a better way to work, God responded, "Let me drive." And then he led me to help women like you through my speaking, coaching, and writing. My mission is teaching you that success doesn't require buying into the world's frantic definition of hustle or into the so-called anti-hustle movement. Instead, you can meet me right here in the middle to redefine hustle as you pursue success with God as your CEO. Each week, we'll spend a focused 15 minutes connecting biblical truth to business with practical application so you can tune out the world, tune into God's truth, and turn up focus. Does that sound like what you need today? Great, then buckle up and let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman. I am especially excited about my guest today because normally I'm not recording next to my guests. They're usually on the other side of the screen. But today I have my incredible client, Jess Cutler. She is the owner of Invents, a luxury event planning company. She also is the founder of two additional businesses, Informs, which is all about helping budding event and meeting planners, as well as Inspires, which is her leadership coaching business. So, Jess, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited you're here.
I know. So I'm in town today in Jess's location because we're going to be doing a strategy day tomorrow.
Mhm.
And one of my very favorite things to do. And of course, I always love to travel to my clients to do that. So we're just going to let the Holy Spirit take control of this. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So Jess, if you can just take a minute and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you love to do, because I know you've got some singing and some other things in there, and how that led you into your first business, Invents.
Yeah. So I've been doing events now. This will be its 9th year in business, which is kind of crazy because if anyone knows anything about event planning, I feel like you have to just be like a sucker for punishment to really want to do this like all the time. But it's something that I think for me, I have grown up just singing and being on stage. And so for me, event planning is really bringing everything together in that way. So I've been in the hospitality industry. I always say that like how I got here was a series of yeses. Like God just sort of like, he continued to put people in front of me that I was like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. And so when Invents really started, it was a company that I was working for actually decided to leave town. And I was their director of events or of events. Can't even say events now because Invents. Yeah. So I was their director of events. And then whenever they decided to leave town, they looked at me and they said, "But we have invested so much in you. We believe in you. We would love to help you start your own thing if you wanted to do it." And that actually was a no for me. But my husband was like, "Yes, she'll do it." So at 29 years old, I basically took over this huge, technically it's considered a DMC, a destination management company, and took it over and started running it. And like I said, 9 years later, here we are, corporate event planning, agency. And we've kind of evolved a little bit away from that DMC side strictly, but yeah, God is, he's continued to bless it. And I wanted to shut it down during COVID.
Wow.
But I didn't.
Right.
And God brought it back stronger. And here we are.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about, like, as you all know, I talk about like letting God lead in your business. And so what did God lay on your heart that to bring that back? Because I kind of think that wasn't really your plan.
No, it really wasn't. I think for me, my mantra was, it's never no, it's just a different level of yes. That was my mantra pre-COVID. And then during COVID, when he kind of took it all away from me, and it kind of made me realize that I didn't do any of that. I didn't build any of that myself,
Wow.
that he gave all of that to me, and that it wasn't mine to take credit for and to feel like a failure for. Like he basically took it all away and said, you need to find me first.
Oh,
Find me first, and then we can work on the rest.
wow.
So I got involved in a bunch of support groups, and he got me into a boundary support group.
Oh.
And the word that they taught me in that in that group was the word no.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he was able to kind of shape and mold in me was that in the hospitality industry, it's all about yes. It is all about yes.
Sure.
It's all about yes. What can I do for you? And he was basically like, no, it's not all about yes. It's about, saying no to sometimes things that are good.
That's right.
That
right.
Whenever you are not going to be able to give your best, you need to say no to that.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those where he just kind of, I don't know, he just kind of led me back in and said, hey, you were saying yes too much.
Ooh.
Let me teach you the word no. And whenever we walk back into this business, we're not going to walk back in there so that you can be a servant to everyone else. I'm going to walk you back into this business so you can be a servant for me.
I remember when we met in 2021 at the Narrow Conference, shout out, She Works His Way, that when you reached out to me about coaching, you were reading Lisa TerKeurst's The Best Yes.
Yeah. Actually, no.
Oh.
Actually, no. I had just finished all these studies, and I was looking for my next one. And my friend that I went with had said, oh yeah, I've been hearing about like this book. It's called The Best Yes. And then we sat beside you and we were talking, and I was like, yeah, I need to do another study. And you said, you know which one you should do? The Best Yes.
Oh, confirmation.
So
it was Mandy, right?
Mandy,
that was Mandy.
Yes, you and Mandy both said it. And I was like, okay, God, maybe I'll do The Best Yes. So yeah, I did that one next, and that was life-changing.
So how has the Lord held you to that yes as he's grown your business? Because I know I've seen it firsthand since the beginning of 2022, and he didn't just bring it back from COVID. I mean, he expanded it. How has he continued to lead you in your best yes?
Well, do you remember from that conference, Jordan Rayner's Redeeming Your Time? It was one of the things was like, you have to have an I want song that's so big that the no comes easy. And so it's like he put these callings in forms and inspires. He put those on my heart. And even though Vince is like this like huge operating machine that wants to take all of my time, this desire that he's put in my heart just to be able like informs is teaching other people how to do it and how to have a true heart of hospitality, and inspires is, the leadership and the speaking and the coaching and trying just to help people just to figure out their best yes. And so it's like he gave me these big callings that even though all these other things want to pull on me, it's easy-ish to say no, because I know that if I say yes to some of these things that are not a part of that bigger calling, then I'll never get there. Yeah. So I think that's how he's helped me. Yes. We actually have a group right now that it's a huge group for the team, and my team is still growing and they're still learning. And what I've continued to even say to you is that I feel like God has been holding my hands behind my back, that I could not help them in the ways that I would want to help them, that he's allowed me just to really to watch them grow and empower them and teach and coach and train my team while I am working on these larger missions. So yeah, I think that's what he's been tying my hands behind my back, basically.
I love that. I love that. And for those of you who are listening, you may be at a place in your business where it's no longer you, that you've got to bring in help. What was that decision like to start to hire? And what was the ups and downs of that? Because I had a front row seat to that as Jess's coach, and I know it didn't start the way you thought it would.
Well, I think because it hurt of all the things that hurt my heart the most whenever COVID hit, where I had to like lay off the small team that I had, like one person, but still it like that hurt and my heart hurt. So when I came back, I was like, I'm not having a team. I'm only going to take the business that I can handle myself. And I won't. And God was like, ha, 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 ha.
I love how you're using that word, I.
And so, I mean, truly, I think he put you in my path. And like, I don't really know the moment, because I don't even think I realized the moment until we were in one of our coaching sessions and you were like, what do we need to get off your plate? Yeah. And then it was like, sometimes I get so wrapped in the I's and all the things that I can do by myself, and I, and you were like, well, you could give this to an assistant.
Yeah.
And you could give this to it. And so I don't remember the point, except for whenever like everything blew up so much that it was like, you can either say no to everything from this point out.
That's right.
Or you can start saying yes to bringing in help.
Yeah.
And so it was really, I would love to take credit for knowing that point, but I actually don't remember it. It was probably more so you that were like, hi, Jessica, it's time now.
One of the things that I love about how he led you in that way was seeing him show you that you couldn't do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you. And you're also really self-sufficient. But he also put the right people in place.
He did.
Yeah. So when you started to build out this new team, which is now up to 3, plus you have a few others, as he started to put these people in your path, what was that level of trust like to let him do that?
Well, it was very hard because if you'll remember, I kept trying to let him know what I thought would be best for the business. So I kept trying to jump the gun on it, and I kept trying to put other people in. And so every time that I would put that person in, he would still bring the right person in. And then it was like I had this beautiful example of like God provided person, just provided person.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and that's what you just kept reminding me, was that now I have a great example of what good is and what that's right is. But it was just one of those where it was like, it was very hard to trust, just because, especially when you have a business and it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's your name. It's what it's one of those that's like, but what if they're not as good as I am? And it's one of those where it's like, God just kept being like, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, I got this. Yeah. I know who I need in here, and it's not your business. It's our business. Like, we are co-creating this together now. Remember what we talked about? And so it's like, I think what I have told so many people whenever they ask me about working with you is that I say that your platform is pursuing success God's way. And for so long, I pursued success my way.
Yeah.
And the funniest story is, right before COVID, Will and I had the conversation of like, do we go big or do we go home? Like, what do we burn the ships? What do we do? And we were like, yeah, we're going big. And God was like, no, you go home.
Right.
You go home and really go home for COVID. And then when we've come back in, he's like, I keep going, well, I'm just going to sit here at home and just kind of do my own thing. And God's like, no. Now that you've got me in the business, now it's time to go big.
One of the things that comes up for me as Jess is saying this is so often the world wants to tell us, you go big, you go big, you go big. But what you just said is God said, this is our business. Mm-hmm. That had to be hard to hear. Wait, you want me to go home?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I always say, like, in the first 5 years, so COVID hit right on the 5th year. In the first 5 years of business, I didn't have a mission statement. Like, I just like running into the business. And there was one morning, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like God woke me up and was like, it's time to write a mission statement. So we woke up together. He was already awake, but he met me in my Zen den at like 6 a.m. And I crafted this mission statement for Invents. That was like, and it's not just like, I wish I had it handy. I don't have it handy, but it was just this beautiful mission statement of like, it's not just about, we're crafting things uniquely for our clients, but beyond that, it's the experience of planning with us. It's the passion that we have and the excellence that we want to give to you. And it was like, whenever God was like, no, we're bringing this business back, but we're bringing it back my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the pieces that had to fall back into place.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing. How long have you been a follower of Jesus?
I got baptized when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
So my dad is a pastor. And so I've been raised in church.
Yep.
Every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what it's like to be a preacher's kid. You never escape from church. And so my entire life.
Yeah.
But it really hadn't been until COVID.
Wow.
Until he stripped it all away from me and was like, you are holding on to so much that is not about what it matters. And I'm so sorry because I'm going to
No, do not apologize.
But he basically stripped it all away and was like, all you need is me. And so I actually got rebaptized. I rededicated my life a year ago.
I remember.
A year ago, actually this month, probably a year ago from today.
Wow. The reason I wanted to ask you that, Jess, is because those of you who listen, some of you have been following Christ for a long time and you have had incredible outward success, but man, you just feel empty and you feel like you're constantly striving and like having to keep on the hamster wheel. And what God does to us as Christian women is he has given us a vehicle of business to walk out our gifts, our talents, to impact the kingdom. And so often what I find, which you just told that story, is that women come to me and they're like, I've been a Christian my whole life, but I was still doing business my way. So if that is you, I just want to give you that hope in that. Oh, it's so beautiful. So then he put these other businesses on your heart. And I know you're also, I know you're John Maxwell certified, etc. When number one, when he put those things on your heart, what was your first reaction?
Well, my first reaction was because it all came to my heart whenever Invents was not in full swing. I was like, yes, this is great. This is not event planning. This is something totally different. I haven't had a desire for anything else different. So yes, I'm ready. Let's go. I'm available. Like, yes.
Yeah.
That was initially.
Yeah. And then what happened?
And then I started working with you and I told you, I said, I do not even want us to talk about Invents.
I know. I remember.
I just want Invents to just be what it is and we'll just let it be what it is. And I want us to work on these new businesses. And it wasn't about, and at first you were like, okay, sure. That's what we'll do. It was like day one. And it was like next of our coaching sessions, you were like, whoa. You have a huge machine that's just starting back up that's been rusty for a little while. Like, we can't just jump into the other business. We got to figure out how to get this machine rolling.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like when he first laid it on my heart, I was like, yes, gung ho, ready to go. And then it was like, pause. We have to get some other things rolling first. And then, but I guess what I'll say is that he's never removed that passion.
Right.
Like it's always been there and it's always been underneath all of it. So it's like, I feel like, and as you continue to say, Invents is my training ground. I'm coaching my team. Right. I am living every day what I want to be teaching in the Informs courses. So it was almost like, it definitely took a little pause button.
Sure.
And it's taken some time to get back into it, or really to actually get into it. I mean, Informs really just launched courses this year, and it's been 2 years since we've been dreaming it.
Exactly. Exactly. The reason I wanted to ask you that, Jess, and sort of bring that forward for the audience is that sometimes God always puts desires on your heart. And as high achievers, we're like, let's go, God, let's make it happen. And once again, he's like, ho, our business, right? And as a coach, you know, my job is to give you that objective 30,000 foot view, not just in a strategy day, but in our regular coaching sessions. And Jess and I, as you mentioned, you've been coaching for 2 years, and I've been so blessed, like that you have, to be able to see you grow and to walk through that with you. At the same time, like as a coach, I could have been like, yeah, let's forget Invents and let's go. But when you bring the Lord into that coaching, like he's got to have his way. And so what I could see from the outside is like, hold on, let's get this machine on the right tracks so that it begins to free up your time and it begins to pave the way and even the funding for these broader desires that you had.
Well, and I think that was all a part of the molding and the shaping and the teaching, because it was like the way I kind of explained it to you is I feel like he just kind of lifted this veil and was like, here's where we're going. Yeah. Jess, like that's the end game. And then it was like, you know, then the veil closed.
What a great vision.
And it was one of those where, you know, I was like, okay, let's go. I need to do, and I think I originally had it planned for like, I was going to knock it all out in like the first 60 days, like the courses. It was all going to be done in like 60 days. And so I feel like he really was able to use you to, because I would say, I'm just behind. I'm not on my timeline, blah, blah, blah. And you would go, whose timeline?
Yes.
Yours or his?
Whose timeline?
And it's like every time that I'm like, oh, I'm just behind schedule, I always say to myself now, whose schedule?
Right.
Yours or God's?
That's right. That's right. And it has been beautiful to watch it unfold and to see your team grow. And just as Jess said a minute ago, I have told her that her Invents business is training ground. It's training ground for what do you want to have in your courses, right? And Informs. It's training ground for how you will coach future leaders that come to you for, you know, Maxwell foundational coaching and what you'll put on that. So tell us about Informs and kind of the mission behind that and how that then how that all ties together then with Inspires.
So Informs really spurred from just the heart of hospitality that I found during COVID, where I used to think that I needed to do everything for everybody. And then when I came back out of it, I was like, whoa, 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 guys, we're all doing this wrong. So I need to help you understand. I'll teach you how to do an event, but beyond that, let me teach you how to be the best. Like, let me teach you how to have excellence. Let me teach you what it looks like to work from peace.
Yes.
And not for peace. Ooh. Because that is something in our world where it's this constant rat race. I mean, every single event, it just keeps going. And it's one thing that I even tell my team is that, we are not going to work for peace. We're not going to work for rest. We're not going to work for it because we'll never get there.
That's right.
We're going to work from it. We're going to work from rest. We're going to work from peace. And so just that mindset shift that I was able to have from COVID and God coming into the business is something that I want to share with others, not just the knowledge of event planning. Anyone can have that. But beyond that, it's like, I just truly want to share that heart of hospitality. So that, of course, everyone wants to be an event planner. Everyone loves the idea of it. And of course, everyone is like, hey, just will you teach me? And so it was one of those that I was like, how can I multiply myself and be able to share God's love through a platform that I know very well?
Exactly.
Event planning. So that's where Informs really came from. And then Inspires, I really kind of call it like, it's Informs is my people project, but Inspires is like my Providence project. And it's like, I don't really know where God's taking that one, but it's his.
Yes.
It's just that space where I'm like, hey, God, you gave me gifts.
Yeah.
Beyond organizing and detailing. Like, you gave me gifts. Let me be that inspiration. Let me be that salt and light for others. So that's where ultimately then he led me into the Maxwell leadership training. Ultimately, I feel like he has trained me more through it than I've trained anyone else. But I do think it's one of those things where that platform in itself is just, I don't really know where that one's going to lead, because I feel like God has his own plan for that. And I'm not trying to micromanage that one.
No, we're not. But we have our strategy day tomorrow. So we'll be talking about that. But Informs or Inspires is really where your podcast came from.
Yes.
So tell us about your podcast.
So my podcast is really just about encouragement, specific insights for people who have certain callings that have been, or really careers that have transitioned them into callings. And then really just kind of sharing my own personal successes and failures, and just to be able to kind of inspire people and let them know that they're not alone, that we're all failing in some way, or we're all succeeding in some way, and we're all in this together. So it just kind of spurred this, like, I just want to help spread inspiration and light. So that's where it came from.
And from my perspective, the Inspires podcast, which we'll have all that in the show notes, is really a place where you get to bring stories forward, and you get to bring leaders that you admire forward, and to be able to tell their stories, as you just said, to encourage everyone, because we're all, in business in this race that God has given us. But at the same time, we're generally looking left and right, like, well, they're going faster, or they're getting there more, or whatever. And it is your outlet for talking about those things. And it's one creative outlet alongside of your singing. And,
well, and I think too, it was one of those things that one of the transformations that God did for me over the time was that I was a preacher's kid, pageant girl, performer. Like, I was on stage. I wore this mask, and you only got to see the most beautiful parts of me. That's the only thing I would share. And so whenever he kind of stripped all that away from me and was like, take off the mask, like, just figure out how to be authentically you. And so the podcast for me was that place where I was able to be like, hey guys, here I am.
It really is.
Without a mask.
Yes.
Let me just be authentically you, and not just, I don't want to show you the pretty parts now. I want to show you the ugly parts. I mean, I think I actually ran it by you first, because I wrote a podcast that was like, I'm not inspired.
Yes.
How can I write a podcast about inspiring people when I have zero inspiration? And you were like, write it. Yeah.
Be who you are in that moment, because more people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Everybody sees the pretty picture. Everybody sees the perfectly placed filters and all the things. No. How can we show up as the daughters of the Most High King in our most authentic and real ways to inspire others, and very many times people who only know Jesus because they know us, like they don't know Jesus personally yet.
Yeah.
And it is a place you get to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. Okay. So we're going to start to wrap this up. I would love for you to take just a minute and talk about, like, why did you look for a business coach, and why did you specifically look for a Christian business coach, and what has working with me, this is not to blow my own horn, friends, but what has working with me allowed your business to do?
Okay, there was like 10 questions
I know,
in
that's
that.
3
And
questions.
she knows my brain.
Why were you looking for a coach, and why a Christian business coach? Let's start there.
Okay, so first question, I wasn't looking for a business coach. In fact, the funny story is we paid for VIP. I was sitting in the middle. My friend Mandy was going into business to become a business coach. Aaron sits beside me. And so and we got put in like a small group in the corner somewhere. And so I was sitting beside her, and then we go to the small group, and the whole time she's telling her story and talking, I'm going, oh, I've got to introduce her to Mandy. She really needs Mandy. Mandy really needs to meet her. And so the whole time I'm trying to get them connected. And then afterwards, God was like, no, I didn't put her there for Mandy. I put her there for you. So to answer your first question, I wasn't looking for a business coach.
Right.
So then it was one of those that I like, and even now it's like God speaks. He speaks. So like when we get together in the morning, it's usually very early in the morning before anybody has had a chance to get in my brain. It is just me and him, and he speaks so clearly to me. And so after I met you, it was one of those things where even when I was talking to Will, it was just one of those thoughts where I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I'm going to go back in business, but I cannot do it the same way again. But I do not know how to do it any other way.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just introduced you to the person that I want you to work with. So the reason why it was a Christian coach was because God was like,
yeah,
hey, it was literally like, yes, you've been pursuing success your way. I need you to pursue it my way. So it was truly, your platform was like the answer to a prayer.
And I want to say something about that to those of you that have a platform, or you have your business, or you've been doing business your own way. And, now you're coming out talking about, hey, I'm like Holy Spirit inspired. Someone needs what you have. Someone needs what you have. And it may only be one person today, but what is the platform God has given you? Don't overlook that. Don't overlook that. Okay. Go ahead.
And I was so good at pursuing success my way anyway, that it was one of those where I was just like, okay, God, you are here. You are in my life, and I don't need anyone else telling me that I can do this by myself anymore. I need someone to tell me that you're going to do this.
That's right. That you're going to do it with me. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What has working with me, like what has that done for your business, and is it something that you didn't expect would happen out of us working together?
Yeah. So I am I think when you describe yourself, what do you say about yourself? You're a driver.
Oh, I'm a recovering driver, striver, and achievement chaser.
The moment she said those words to me, I was like, her. I want her, because she will get me. She will understand this.
Yeah.
So I think I thought getting a business coach was going to be like, okay, we're going to high drive, strive, and go in God's way. And it's been so different, because it's been like, when I come to you and I'm like, blah, 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 here is everything that I'm trying to work on. It's like, breathe.
Yeah.
Let's pray for a minute, and let's just slow down.
Right.
And then it's like, let's take ourselves out of the equation here. Let's figure out what God wants us to work on. And so it's just that whole mindset shift that I've received from working with you that I don't think that I would have really gotten from anyone that's in the business that wants to, to drive, strive.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those where I feel like working with you has been the mindset shift of, whose timeline are you working on? It's just been that reminder of every time that I feel like, oh, I can't do this. I can't, I, and you've gone, yeah, no, you can't do this.
Right.
But God can.
Yeah.
And it's so, working with you has just been that, like, it's been that beat in the back of my head, that breath that I forget to take. That's like, hey, you're not doing this by yourself anymore.
Right.
Like, yes, I'm your coach, but I'm here to coach you in God's way.
Yeah.
And God's way is not to kill you and to say yes and to, run on the hamster wheel. It is to literally stop the hamster wheel, step off.
Yeah.
And figure out what he wants you to do, and then move forward.
Thank you for saying that, because so often I'm like, what is it like to work with? I mean, I think I know what I bring to the table, but one of the examples of this is, so we were together last year, right around now, doing Jess's strategy day. because I do a strategy day with every one of my coaching
so good.
clients.
Like, even if we weren't doing I would still beg you forever to do a strategy day.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So there's only 2 days left until the end of May. But last year we mapped out your course.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think, okay, well, I've mapped it out. Let's go. Let's make it happen. But it had God's timing, right? We found the right person to be able to work with you. God love Jen Howitt.
Oh,
and just mapping out and taking your time. And even right now, taking a breath between 2 modules that anyone else, I think, who is not driven by the Lord would say, you got to get this done. But we were like, no, you need to take a breath. And so my point is that working with any coach, whether it's me or not, make sure that you're working with someone who obviously is helping you stay accountable and think strategically, but put it into action, but also is leaving the space for God's timing and action. Because if you had tried to rush through all of that, like we originally mapped, like it wouldn't happen.
I'd be dead right now.
Yeah, you would be. And we don't want that.
Emotionally, spiritually.
Exactly.
I might be alive, but I would be dead.
Right. I love it. I love it so much. So as we close up, Jess, tell people, how can they find you? Like, where is your podcast? How can they find your course?
So courses, so let's just go through them all. So Invents is invents.com, ENVENTS. Right. And our handle there is at Invent Planner. And then Informs is ENFORMS.co. And I tried to make these simple for now. They may change later, but the handle is at JessMCutler.informs. And then Inspires, because we need one more on there, it's JessMCutler.com. And then the handle there is at JessMCutler.inspires. And that's ENSPIRES.
So with Informs, who is the right person to come find you?
So in that one, you need to have a passion, at least even a small level passion for event planning. So that's for your aspiring event planners. And you could even be a little bit further along, especially if you're looking to start a business. Maybe you are working inside of a business right now and you go, gosh, I'd love to do this on my own. That right now is more of the coaching side of it. Consulting, I do consult with that as well. So maybe you're already in it. Maybe you're running your business and you are just like, I need to breathe in it. That is there for that. I mean, it really kind of hits all areas right now. The courses that are out are for the event planner specifically. I have more courses that will come out later, which will be for the meeting planner and then for the business entrepreneur. But the courses that are out right now are specifically for aspiring event planners who want to do like special event design.
And where do we find the podcast?
So the podcast is at JessMCutler.com.
Beautiful.
And then the Instagram and Facebook is at JessMCutler.inspires.
That's awesome. If there was one piece of advice, I'm going to pull your brain one more time. Okay. One piece of advice you would give to the businesswoman, the Christian businesswoman who loves Jesus, but has been doing business her way and can't figure out why she's stuck. What is the one thing you would tell them to do?
The word that comes to mind is boundaries.
Oof. Yeah.
It would be go either read the Boundaries book or go read The Best Yes, but basically figure out what it is that's motivating you to not be able to say no. Because for me, the moment that changed everything was when I realized that the reason I couldn't say no to people was because I was motivated by guilt, that fear of hurting someone else. So I would sacrifice my entire soul to them because I didn't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
So the moment that I realized that, every time I was torn between a yes or no, I would have to say, am I doing this because I want to do this, because I have love in my heart and the freedom to give this? Or am I doing this? Am I motivated by guilt? And the moment I realized that was my motivation, and there are a few different things that can motivate you to not be able to say no: fear of rejection, fear of love. There's a few other things. So I would go read the Boundaries book and figure out what it is that's not allowing you to say no and not allowing you to say your best yes. And then in that same thing, it's analyzing the cost of that yes, because every time you say yes means you're saying no to something else. And that was something I never accounted for. So I was saying yes to all these things, and I didn't realize while I was doing that, I was saying no to my husband, and no to our marriage, and no to friendships, and no to my health. And I was saying no to everything that actually mattered in life.
That's right.
So in that same line of boundaries, it's like also analyzing that cost of yes.
Oh, That's so beautiful. Thank you for being my
You're
guest.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being an awesome client. All right, guys. So I want to remind you that God made you ambitious, but he did not make you to work the world's way. And until next time, I pray for and encourage you to tune out the world, tune into God's truth, and turn up your focus so that you can walk out your mission in the marketplace. I'll see you on the next episode. As an established solopreneur or business owner with a team of employees who's ready to refine or scale your business, you're probably swimming in opportunities, overflowing with ideas, and excited about the possibilities. But you're overwhelmed thinking, how can I set a strategy when I'm trying to run a business and be productive? There are so many ideas and opportunities. How do I decide what's worth pursuing? I don't have time to waste on things that don't align to the vision and mission that God's given me. My client Jen felt this way as she sought to scale her business with a God-honoring strategy. Enter my focused and fruitful strategy day. Jen said of her experience, my strategy day with Aaron was just what I needed. She helped me look at my current services, dream about the future, and create a plan to grow and scale. Her giftedness as a visionary with an understanding of the day-to-day tactical tasks is a magical combination I've never seen before. And she approaches it all from a firm foundation of faith. My strategy day gives you a full day of private coaching with me and my strategic mapping zone of genius, while being nourished with good food in a tranquil environment and celebrated for your progress at the end of the day, all in the beauty of Chesapeake Beach, Maryland, or in your location. If you want to bring calm to the chaos, tame the tornado, and silence the squirrels in your business for a clear path forward, visit erinharrigan.com/strategy day to learn more and schedule time with me. No squirrels were harmed in the making of this message or in the delivery of the strategy day. Thanks for tuning in to Redefining Hustle, Pursuing Success as a Christian Woman each week. I pray this show helps you to see that God made you ambitious, but he didn't make you to do business as usual. Remember to check the show notes for my free resources and other helpful links. If this episode spoke to you, take a screenshot, share it with a friend, or share it on social and tag me. I'm praying for you, friend, that you'll embrace redefining hustle, and in turn, your business will produce much fruit and impact his kingdom in greater ways than you could ever do in your own strength.